My dear brothers and sisters, let's be honest. Sometimes life feels like a mountain pressing down on your chest. You wake up tired. You carry yourself through the day like nothing's wrong. Smiling, talking, working. But inside you're drained. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're just tired. You've tried everything. You've made dua with tears in your eyes. You've begged Allah at night when the world is sleeping. You've stayed strong for everyone else. But inside you're wondering, how much longer can I hold on? You scroll through your phone, you go about your day, but deep inside, a voice whispers, will this ever end? Why isn't anything changing? Is Allah even listening to me? Let me remind you today, not with theory, but from the depths of real faith. Yes, He hears you, He sees you, and He is closer to you than anyone else ever could be. You are not forgotten, you are not being ignored. Allah is fully aware of every moment you're enduring. And I promise you with the certainty that comes from the Qur'an and the words of the Prophet, Allah will fix it for you. But here's what you need to remember. You must be patient. You must hold on. You must trust Him even when everything in your life seems uncertain. Because that's what faith is. It's not just believing when things are easy. It's trusting Allah in the moments when nothing makes sense. It's saying, Ya Allah, I don't understand this, but I know You do. It's whispering, help me, when you feel like you're about to break and still believing that He will. You see, just because you can't see the solution right now, doesn't mean it isn't already on the way. Sometimes we convince ourselves that if we don't see progress, if we don't feel something changing right away, if we can't trace every step of the plan or measure every result, then surely nothing is happening. We begin to doubt. We think maybe my du'as aren't being heard. Maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe Allah isn't helping me. But that's not how Allah works. Allah does not operate on our deadlines. He is not limited by what our eyes can see or what our minds can understand. His work is constant, perfect, and often hidden, because true faith isn't in seeing, it's in trusting even when you can't see. You might not feel the change right away, but that doesn't mean there isn't movement. Just like a seed buried beneath the soil, you see nothing for a long time. No green shoots, no leaves, no signs of life. But under the surface, it's growing, developing roots, becoming something strong enough to rise. That's how Allah's plan works. It grows quietly, steadily, until the moment comes for it to bloom. So don't mistake silence for absence. Don't confuse delay with denial. And don't assume that because you don't see a miracle, that one isn't unfolding right now in ways you can't yet comprehend. Allah's help doesn't have to arrive in dramatic fashion to be effective. Sometimes His help shows up in subtle ways. In the way your heart softens just a little. In the way a heavy thought leaves your mind. In the way you wake up one day and for the first time in a long time, you feel a tiny bit lighter. That is progress. That is mercy. That is your sign. Even when you can't see it, Allah is always working. There are moments in life when everything looks still, silent, as if you're stuck. You wake up and it feels like nothing has changed. You keep making dua, but you don't see any obvious signs. You keep taking steps, but it feels like you're walking in circles. And slowly a voice in your mind starts whispering, maybe nothing is happening. Maybe this is it. Maybe I'm just stuck here forever. But the truth is, if you're not stuck, you're being prepared. Because beneath that stillness where it feels like nothing is happening, Allah is moving everything quietly, precisely, lovingly. He's shifting things in your favor. He's guiding the right people toward you, those who will support your journey, bring peace to your life, remind you of Him, love you for the right reasons. And at the same time, He's removing what would have harmed you, the friendships that were false, the opportunities that would have distracted you, the things you were begging for but weren't good for your heart. The timing you thought was delayed, it's being perfected. The outcome you feared you missed, It's being rewritten better than you imagine. You just can't see it yet. Like the tide pulling far back before a giant wave. What feels like a step backward is often the preparation for something powerful, something transformative. So don't be fooled by silence. Stillness doesn't mean absence. Delays don't mean denial. Allah is always working even in the quiet, especially in the quiet. Because when the moment finally comes, you'll look back and realize, while I thought everything was standing still, Allah was moving everything into place. Just like you can't see a seed growing under the soil, yet it's developing roots, being nourished, and preparing to break through. Your relief is growing too. Your answer is growing, and you just need to hold on a little longer. Allah knows. He knows the heaviness in your chest that you don't talk about. He knows the pain you smile through in front of others. He knows the questions in your heart that you're too scared to say out loud. He knows the effort you're making even when it goes unnoticed by the world. He sees the moments you want to give up, but you still get up. He hears the du'as you make when you're too broken to even say the words. He feels the sincerity behind your silent tears. There are struggles you've carried alone. There are battles you've been fighting in silence. And through all of that, not a single tear, not a single prayer, not a single act of patience has been forgotten. And I promise you, Allah is already working on it. He's not late. He's not ignoring you. He hasn't overlooked your pain. He is in fact closer to you in these moments than you've ever realized. Behind the scenes, He's removing obstacles. He's softening hearts. He's turning circumstances around. He's aligning everything to fall into place exactly when it's meant to. You don't need to understand how. You just need to keep believing that He will. And when the time is right, when you're ready, when the blessing is ready, He will unfold it in such a beautiful way that you'll say, if this is what I had to wait for, it was worth every second. You don't need to know how it will work out. Really, you don't. You don't need a map for your entire life. You don't need a step-by-step breakdown of where you'll be next year or even next week. You don't need every detail explained to you before you move forward. Why? Because life isn't a formula, it's a test. And you are being tested not on your ability to control every outcome, but on your ability to trust the one who already does. You see, Allah is not asking you to solve everything. He's not expecting you to have all the answers. He's not asking you to figure out how your life will unfold step by step, year by year. That's not your burden to carry. You were never created to hold that kind of weight. He's not asking you to carry the entire future on your back. The what ifs, the what next, the what now. That pressure that keeps your mind racing at night, the need to have it all under control. That's not from Allah. That's from fear. And fear is not your Lord. Allah is, what He is asking is something much simpler, but much deeper. He's asking you to trust Him, to hand over what you can't control, to surrender the things you don't understand, to say with your heart, even when your plans fall apart, Ya Allah, I don't know what's happening, but I know You do. He's asking you to lean on Him, to cry to Him before you break down in front of others, to turn to Him not just when things are good, but especially when you feel lost. Because when everything else fails, when your expectations fall flat, when your timing doesn't work out, when the people you trusted let you down, He never does. That's all He's asking of you. Stay close, stay connected, stay trusting. Not because it will make life easy, but because it will make your heart firm. And a heart that leans on Allah can carry anything. You just need to know who is in control. And that's Allah. The same Allah who split the sea for Moses. The same Allah who protected Noah when the entire world was drowning. The same Allah who saved Joseph from the depths of a well and the darkness of a prison and made him a king. That is the one who's handling your affairs right now. So why the panic? Why the fear? If He can part oceans and transform lives in ways no human mind could imagine, then surely He can sort out the worries that keep you up at night. The problem is, we often attach our peace to outcomes. We say, I'll feel better when I get that job. I'll be calm when this pain ends. I'll feel whole when I find the right person. But real peace doesn't come after the outcome. It comes when you trust that whatever the outcome is, it's already in Allah's hands. That's where your heart needs to rest, in His wisdom, His plan, His timing. Because Allah has never let you down, and He's not about to start now. Not once has He forgotten you. Not once has He left your pain unnoticed. Not once has He let you face your test alone. Maybe you didn't see it. Maybe the help didn't come in the way you expected. But think about how many times you were rescued. How many times things could have gone worse but didn't. How many times Allah protected you from what you were begging for because He knew it wasn't right for you. There's no hardship He can't ease. Even the one you've been carrying silently for years. Even the one you think no one understands. Even the one you've stopped talking about because it hurts too much to explain. There is no pain He can't heal. The pain of betrayal, the pain of loss, the pain of feeling like nothing is ever going to change. He can heal that too, in ways so gentle, so subtle, that one day you'll wake up and realize, I don't hurt the way I used to. I've changed, I'm stronger now. That's His mercy working in the background. There is no broken heart He can't repair. None. You're not too far gone. You're not too broken. You're not forgotten. Maybe your heart feels shattered. But sometimes Allah allows the heart to break only so He can fill it with something better. And yes, I know what you might be thinking right now. But I've waited so long. And that waiting feels endless, doesn't it? Every day passes. And you think maybe tomorrow, maybe something will change. Maybe the call will come. Maybe the burden will lift. And then the day ends. And everything feels the same. I know. Waiting tests you in ways almost nothing else can. Because waiting is not passive. Waiting is an act of worship. Waiting forces you to trust. Waiting purifies you from your attachment to this world. And here's the truth. One that's hard to accept in the moment, but becomes so clear later on. Sometimes the waiting is the actual blessing. Not the thing you're waiting for, but the waiting itself. Because it's in that waiting that Allah teaches you patience. It's in that waiting that your soul is refined, your heart is humbled, and your connection with Him deepens in ways ease could never bring. You see, we think the blessing is in the outcome, in the job offer, the healing, the solution, the success. But often, the real blessing was what happened to your heart while you waited for those things. Sometimes, Allah doesn't give you what you're asking for right away. Not because He's ignoring you, not because He's punishing you, but because He's protecting you, because He's preparing you. Because what He wants to give you is so much better than what you thought you wanted. So much deeper, so much more lasting. And right now, you're just not ready for it yet. Not yet, but you will be. Because the waiting is not wasted time. It's growth, it's purification. It's Allah softening your heart, building your strength, and making sure that when His gift arrives, you'll be ready to carry it with gratitude, not arrogance. With wisdom, not haste. With sabr, not entitlement. So the next time you feel like you've been left in the waiting room of life, remember, Allah delays only with purpose. And the one who learns to trust during the delay will appreciate the blessing in a way others never can. Sometimes, the waiting is building your character. You may think nothing is happening, but in reality, you're being reshaped from the inside out. The waiting is making you stronger. Not in a loud, visible way, but in the quiet, sacred way that only Allah can do. It's in the waiting that your intentions are purified, your desires are clarified, your heart becomes softer yet firmer in faith. It's shaping your patience, turning it from a concept into a lived reality. Not the kind of patience that simply endures time, but the kind that grows trust, the kind that teaches you to walk through life without demanding answers. And in that space, when you learn to sit with the unknown, when you stop fighting for control, when you surrender to Allah's pace, you begin to discover something rare. Peace before the storm ends. Not after everything gets better, not when the situation is fixed, but right there in the middle of it. That's the sign of a heart trained by waiting. Because now you're not just asking for ease, you're learning how to be calm before the ease arrives. You're learning how to say, Ya Allah, if this is what you've written for me right now, I'll trust you through it. And that's not weakness, that's spiritual maturity. It's training your heart to love the giver more than the gift, to desire closeness to Allah above all outcomes, to realize that everything in this world is temporary, but your relationship with Him is forever. That's why waiting is never wasted, because sometimes in the waiting you receive a far greater gift. You become someone who truly knows Allah. You may feel like you've been delayed, but in reality you're being prepared, because what's coming is worth the wait. And what's coming will only make sense in hindsight. So don't rush what Allah is still writing, and don't doubt the one who already knows how the story ends. Maybe the delay is protecting you. Have you ever thought of that? Maybe the reason things haven't happened yet is because Allah is holding you back from something you can't see, something that would have harmed you, something you might have chased eagerly, thinking it was good for you, but in reality, it would have broken you. You see, sometimes when Allah says not yet, He's not saying no. He's saying, let me protect you. That job you didn't get, maybe the environment would have destroyed your peace. That relationship that ended, maybe it would have taken you further from Allah. That door that refused to open, maybe what was behind it wasn't meant for your growth. And yes, maybe the delay isn't easy, but what if it's mercy, not punishment? What if it's a shield, not a rejection? Maybe the pain is pushing you closer to Him. Because truthfully, how many of us turn to Allah with full sincerity when life is easy? But pain has a way of softening the heart, of breaking pride, of turning us back to the one we often forget when everything feels fine. Sometimes the pain you're feeling isn't there to punish you, it's there to realign you. It's waking you up. It's saying, come back to Allah. He's waiting for you. And you might say, but I never left. But even the strongest hearts can drift. And sometimes Allah allows pain to gently pull you back, not because He's angry with you, but because He loves you too much to let you stray too far. Maybe what you thought was a setback is actually the beginning of something beautiful. How many times has your life taken an unexpected turn only to lead you to something better? Something you didn't plan, something you didn't even pray for, but something that turned out to be exactly what you needed. Sometimes when a door closes, it feels like the end, but in truth, it's just the start of a new path, one you would never have discovered if things had gone your way. That's why we must stop calling everything that hurts a setback, because sometimes it's just a redirection, a repositioning, a reminder that your story isn't over, it's simply turning the page. You see, the most amazing things in life often come after the hardest tests. That's the pattern of this world. Ease comes after hardship, not before it. Light breaks after darkness, not during it. And breakthroughs, they're usually born from breakdowns. Think about it. Ease didn't come to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, right away. It didn't come with comfort or applause or immediate success. It came after deep, painful loss. After the death of his parents, the rejection of his people, years of mockery, isolation, and exile. Only after being pushed to the edge did Allah grant him peace, security, and victory. Relief didn't come to Yusuf alayhi salam in the beginning of his story either. It came after betrayal by his own brothers, after being thrown into a well, sold as a slave, falsely accused, and left in prison. Years and years of hardship, and still he remained patient. Still he trusted Allah, and in the end, not only was he freed, he was honored, elevated, and reunited with his family in a way no one could have imagined. Victory didn't come to Musa alayhi salam while things were easy. It came when he was standing in front of the Red Sea, an army behind him, no path forward, no escape in sight. A moment of pure impossibility. And yet, even then, when every worldly option was gone, Allah made a way. The sea split. Not because Musa had a perfect plan, but because he had unwavering trust. You see, the most beautiful chapters in life often begin in the middle of the darkest nights. Not when things make sense, not when the path is clear, but when everything feels like it's falling apart. That's when Allah is writing something new. And maybe that's where you are right now. In that dark night, in that confusion, in that I don't know what to do anymore phase. But listen carefully, that's not the end of your story. It could be the beginning of your greatest turning point. Because Allah wants you to see something important, that the strength was never in your plan. It was never in your timing, your effort, your strategy alone. The strength was always in your patience, in your ability to trust Him when nothing made sense, in your refusal to let go of dua, even when you felt unheard. That kind of patience, that's what miracles are built on. And the strongest hearts are not the ones who had perfect lives. They are the ones who chose to trust Allah even when nothing made sense, even when their prayers seemed unanswered, even when their timeline was delayed, even when they had every reason to give up, but they chose faith over fear. Those are the hearts that shine, not because they didn't break, but because every time they did, they turned back to the one who heals all things. So keep going. Even if your steps feel small, even if you're crawling some days instead of walking, even if all you can manage is to survive the day and whisper a prayer at night, that's enough. You are not weak for feeling tired. You are not failing because you're not smiling all the time. Struggle doesn't mean you've lost your way. In fact, the struggle might be a sign that you're walking the right path, because paths to Jannah are not always smooth. They are carved through tears, patience, and trust. Keep praying. Even when your voice is shaking, even when your heart feels so heavy, you don't even know what to say anymore. Pray when it's hard. Pray when your words feel broken. Pray when all you can do is sit in silence with tears in your eyes and pain in your chest. Because prayer was never about perfection. It was never about saying the right words or having the most eloquent dua. It's about connection. It's about honesty. It's about turning to the one who already knows what's inside you before you even speak. Even when you don't have the words, Allah still hears your heart. And don't ever think that a trembling voice is a weak one. Sometimes the prayers made with the most pain, the ones whispered through tears, the ones that sound messy, unsure, or broken, those are the ones that reach the throne of Allah the fastest. Because Allah doesn't need polished sentences. He doesn't need poetry. He wants sincerity. He wants truth. Even if all you can say is, Ya Allah, please help me. That's enough. That simple cry from the depths of your soul is more beloved to Allah than 1,000 words spoken without feeling. He knows exactly what you mean. He knows the pain behind your silence. He knows what you're asking for, even when you don't know how to ask. And that's the beauty of turning to Him. You don't need to be composed. You just need to be real. So don't stop turning to Him, even if all you have left is the strength to raise your hands and cry. Because even your tears are a form of dua. Even your silence when filled with trust, is heard. Even your weakness is sacred when it brings you back to Allah. Keep believing even when you feel tired. Faith isn't always a burst of energy. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to keep showing up, to keep praying, keep fasting, keep saying Alhamdulillah, even when your heart feels heavy. Being tired doesn't mean your faith is weak. It means you're human. It means your soul is carrying a lot, but you haven't let go of Allah. And that in itself is a powerful form of belief. There is reward in that fatigue. There is elevation in that struggle. Allah sees how much you're pushing through, and He is closer to you in those moments than you can imagine. Keep trusting, even when everything feels still, even when life doesn't seem to be moving forward, even when the doors you've been knocking on remain closed, even when the sky above you hasn't cleared, and the clouds of worry, of confusion, of heartbreak are still hanging overhead. Even when the dua you poured your soul into weeks ago, months ago, still hasn't shown a sign. Even then, especially then, keep trusting. Because the stillness you see is not a sign that Allah has forgotten you. Sometimes the stillness is a space of mercy, a space of preparation, a pause. Not because nothing is happening, but because something important is happening beneath the surface. It's a divine pause where Allah is softening your heart, polishing your patience, and gently detaching you from the things that were never meant to hold your peace. It's the space where your soul is being aligned with what's coming. Something better, something higher, something you're not quite ready to carry yet. And so He slows everything down, not to punish you, but to prepare you, to make your heart strong enough to hold what you've been asking for, to build your gratitude before the gift even arrives, to give you the kind of inner peace that doesn't depend on outcomes anymore. And yes, it's hard to wait, to not see progress, to keep showing up in your prayers when nothing around you seems to shift. But that's where real faith lives. Not in certainty, but in surrender. Because the silence of your situation is not the silence of your Lord. He is never still. He is never absent. He is never unaware of what you feel. He is simply working in ways you cannot yet see, writing chapters you haven't opened yet, clearing paths you don't even know you'll walk, removing obstacles you never knew were ahead. So don't let the quiet fool you. In the unseen, in the background, in the delay, Allah is arranging everything. And when the moment finally arrives, you realize He wasn't late. He was right on time, and so were you. Because soon, yes, soon, you'll look back on this moment, this very one you're in right now, the one where you feel like breaking, and you'll say, that moment nearly broke me, but Allah fixed it. You'll remember the nights you cried. You'll remember how hard it was to hold on. You'll remember thinking, will I ever feel peace again? And then you look at how far you've come, and you'll realize Allah was there the entire time, fixing what you didn't know was broken, clearing a path you didn't know you'd walk, strengthening a heart you thought couldn't take anymore. And in that moment of reflection, you'll feel something powerful. Gratitude, not just for the ease, but for the strength you never knew you had, for the faith that grew in your hardest season, for the proof that Allah never leaves His servants, not for a second. And maybe, just maybe, everything you're going through right now is preparing you for something greater than you ever imagined. Because you weren't created to break. You were created to rise. And every hardship, every delay, every unanswered dua is part of your rise. It's Allah reshaping your heart. It's Him protecting your future. It's Him teaching you to hold on to Him more than anything else in this world. Sometimes we want ease more than we want growth. But Allah loves you enough to give you both at the right time. You see, Healing doesn't always come with a big moment. Sometimes it comes slowly, like dawn breaking after a long night. You don't always notice the change until one day the pain doesn't hurt the way it used to, and your heart feels lighter, and you realize, I'm okay now because Allah carried me. And that's the beauty of trusting Him. You don't just survive the storm, you come out of it with more faith, more depth, more wisdom. So don't measure Allah's presence by your circumstances. Measure it by your heartbeat, because if it's still beating, then He's still sustaining you. And if today you're in pain, if today you feel lost, if today you feel like you're at the edge, then know this: it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. But don't let it convince you that Allah has abandoned you, because the night might feel endless, but even the darkest night has a sunrise written into it. And your sunrise, it's coming. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will come. And when it does, you'll understand why it had to be this way. You'll say, now I see it. Now I know. This right here, this was the wisdom behind the weight. And you know something else? The people who seem the strongest today, the ones who give advice, who lift others, who speak of hope, they weren't always like that. Many of them became who they are because of what they went through. They found strength in the storm. They found clarity in confusion. They found Allah in the loneliness. That could be you. Right now, your pain might feel pointless, but soon you look back and say, this pain was part of my becoming. This struggle wasn't the end, it was the start. So don't let your current chapter convince you that the story is over. It's not. You're still breathing. You're still praying. You're still here. And that means Allah still has plans for you. Beautiful plans. Not despite your scars, but because of them. And I want you to know, not every test is meant to crush you. Some tests are meant to slow you down, to stop you from rushing towards something that wasn't written for you. Some hardships are not roadblocks, they're redirections. Allah may be holding you in place because He knows what lies ahead, and it's not ready yet. Or maybe you're not ready yet, and that's not a failure, it's love. Because only the one who truly loves you would care enough to withhold something from you until it's good for your heart, your faith, and your akhirah. So if your path feels uncertain, that's okay. If the future seems blurry, that's okay. Because your faith was never supposed to be in the plan. It was always supposed to be in the one who writes the plan. Even when you're confused, even when you're scared, even when you feel like nothing is moving, He's still in control. He never stopped being in control. And maybe this moment you're in this pause, this silence, this in-between is where the transformation is happening. You're being changed slowly, gently into the version of you that can handle what's coming next. So don't rush the process. Don't wish it away too soon. Even the waiting is sacred when you know who's behind it. And yes, I know it's hard when people don't see what you're going through. When they tell you to stay strong, but they don't see the nights you've cried yourself to sleep. They don't see the moments you hold back tears in public. They don't feel the silent heaviness in your chest when everything feels like too much. But Allah sees it. He's always seen it. He knows the weight you're carrying, the one you don't have the words for. And every bit of that pain, it's not wasted. It's recorded. It's valued. It's rewarded in this world and the next. Because you're not just suffering, you're growing. You're healing in ways you can't yet understand. And Allah is guiding every step of that healing, even if it feels slow. Sometimes you might wonder, why me? Why does it feel like I'm always the one being tested? Why does the weight seem heavier on my shoulders? Why does it feel like the happiness I see in others, their peace, their ease, their answered du'as, is just out of reach for me? And in those quiet moments of pain, you might even ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why does it feel like Allah is testing me more than others? But the truth is, and it's a powerful truth, Your journey was never meant to look like anyone else's. You were not created to live a copy of someone else's story. You were not created to walk their path, because Allah doesn't make duplicates. He makes masterpieces, each one molded through different lessons, different trials, different timings. Your soul is being shaped in a way that's unique, because your purpose is unique. And sometimes, in order to grow into that purpose, you have to walk through seasons that look unfamiliar, even lonely. There are things Allah wants to give you, beautiful things, life-changing things, things you've prayed for, and even things you didn't know you needed. But they require this exact process, this exact test, this exact pressure, discomfort, and surrender. Because He's not just giving you blessings, He's preparing you to hold them, to appreciate them, to be changed by them, not ruined by them. And when you come out of it, and I promise you, you won't just come out with what you asked for. You'll come out with something far more valuable. A heart that's stronger, a mind that's wiser, and a soul that's closer to Allah than ever before. You'll carry a type of strength that can't be faked. A kind of peace that wasn't bought, but earned through tears, patience, and unshakable tawakkul. And you'll realize the test was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to refine you. And that kind of refinement, it only comes through difficulty. Not because Allah wants to hurt you, but because He loves you enough to prepare you properly. You see, every storm eventually runs out of rain. Every night eventually meets the morning. And no heart that sincerely turns to Allah is ever left empty. So, don't define your future by how today feels. Because today is not the end. It's just a page. And Allah is still writing with mercy, with purpose, and with love. You might not see the full picture right now. You might not understand why you're in this chapter. But the day will come, and I pray it's soon, when you look back and say, this was the test that grew me. This was the silence that taught me to listen. This was the struggle that brought me closest to Allah. You may not realize it right now, but you are doing better than you think. The fact that you're still holding on, the fact that you haven't let go of prayer, the fact that you still turn to Allah even with a trembling voice, that's not weakness, that's resilience. You are not failing just because you are struggling. You are not falling behind just because your timeline looks different. And you are definitely not forgotten just because your heart feels heavy. Sometimes Allah allows you to walk through pain so that you can finally stop running to the world and start resting in Him. And maybe, just maybe, this entire chapter of your life is about finding something far more valuable than what you were asking for. Maybe it's not the job, not the marriage, not the success. Maybe it's you that Allah is developing. Your patience, your sincerity, your humility, your ability to stand in prayer with tears in your eyes and say, I still trust you, Ya Allah, even though I don't understand right now. That moment right there, that's not weakness. That's the definition of faith. That's what angels record. That's what earns you reward no one else can see. And you know, not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will understand your tears, your silence, your long nights of prayer, or the pain behind your smile. They might look at you and say, why can't you just move on? Why are you still hoping, still waiting, still holding on? But they don't see what's happening in your heart. They don't know the conversations you've had with your Lord in sujood, in your dua, in the middle of the night when no one else was awake. They don't know how your heart clings to Allah. Not because life is easy, but because He's the only one who gives you peace in the storm. Let them say what they want. Let them misunderstand you. Let them label your grief as weakness, your patience as passivity, your tawakkul as giving up. Because your relationship is not with them, it's with Allah. And Allah, He sees you fully. He understands every tear before it falls. He hears every dua before you whisper it. He knows every weight you're carrying, even the ones you've never spoken about. Allah never overlooks a heart that stays soft during a storm. He never ignores a soul that returns to Him in full surrender. Even when the world says it's time to let go, Allah loves when you say, I still choose you. I still believe in your plan. You are enough for me. That sentence, that belief, even when whispered through heartbreak, is more beloved to Allah than you can ever imagine. Because it's in those moments of pain, when you could have turned away but you didn't, when you could have shut down but you kept praying, that's when Allah draws closest to you. He never abandons the one who makes Him their anchor. He never forsakes the one who turns to Him as their refuge, their provider, their healer. So don't let anyone make you feel weak for holding on, because in reality, you're holding on to the one who holds everything. So if you feel invisible to the world right now, please know this: you are never invisible to your Creator. He sees, He hears, He knows, and He is the only one who can truly heal what you've never been able to explain. So keep turning to Him, even when it's quiet, even when it feels like nothing's changing, even when you have no words left. Because the quietest dua from the deepest part of your heart can reach the highest part of the heavens. You may not feel it yet, but you are transforming every hardship you've endured, every silent prayer, every sleepless night, every tear you wiped away when no one else was watching. It's all part of what's shaping you into the person you were always meant to become. You are not who you were before this test, and you won't be the same when it's over. You're being rebuilt with more patience, with deeper trust, with a heart that has learned how to lean on Allah and not the world. Tests don't just change your circumstances, they change you. And one day you'll walk into a blessing that you're finally ready for, not because the blessing changed, but because you did. The light you're waiting for, it's coming. But maybe the reason you haven't seen it yet is because Allah is building that light inside of you first. Sometimes we ask for the storm to pass, but Allah gives us strength in the storm. Sometimes we ask for the pain to end, but He gives us meaning through the pain. And when you've come through it, when you've passed the test, when you're standing on the other side, you'll realize something powerful, that you didn't just survive. You grew, you matured, you purified, you learned how to surrender, and your relationship with Allah became something no hardship could ever destroy. And in that moment, you'll thank Him. You'll thank Him for what you didn't get. You'll thank Him for the delays, the detours, the doors that never opened. You'll say, Allah, you gave me what I needed, not what I wanted, and you knew better. You see, healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, it's peaceful. It shows up in the small things, in the way your chest doesn't feel as tight anymore, in the way you stop overthinking everything, in the way your dua becomes softer, not because you've given up, but because now you trust. You finally trust. You may not see it right now, but something better is coming. You haven't been forgotten. You haven't been left behind. You're just in the middle of the story. And the author of your story is the most merciful, the most wise. And when Allah writes your next chapter, it will make sense of all the ones that came before it. All the unanswered questions, all the delays, all the things you begged for that never came. You look back and realize they weren't rejections. They were redirections. They were openings to something far more beautiful. Allah never closes one door except to open another. And sometimes He opens doors that you didn't even know existed. So don't let today's sadness make you doubt tomorrow's mercy. Don't let today's silence make you forget how many times Allah has answered you in the past. He has never failed you. Not once. Not even in the moments you thought He did. Because if you think back, you'll realize every no was leading you to a better yes. Every moment of waiting was building you. Every delay was protecting you. Every test was drawing you closer to the one who loves you more than anyone else ever could. You are not where you used to be, and you're not yet where you're going to be. But what matters most is that you're still walking, still believing, still holding on to the rope of Allah, even when your hands are tired. And let me tell you something, that alone makes you successful, because your worth is not in your situation. Your worth is not in how much you've achieved. Your worth is in your sincerity, in the way you keep turning back to Allah when things go wrong, in the way you fall and rise again, in the way you trust Him, even when it's hard. And maybe that's the point of all this. Not that life becomes easier, but that you become stronger. Stronger in your tawakkul, stronger in your sabr, stronger in your connection with the one who never lets you down. So yes, hold on, because what's ahead is worth it. And when the day comes and when the doors open, when the burden lifts, when the peace arrives, you'll smile through your tears and say, this is what I was waiting for, and it was worth it. He always fixes it, always. That's one of the most comforting truths about life with faith. Allah never leaves a wound open forever. He never lets a storm rage without purpose. And He never allows pain to stay without bringing something through it. But here's the thing, He doesn't always fix it the way we expect. Sometimes we're waiting for the door we chose to open, but He's guiding us to a better one we didn't even know existed. Sometimes we're asking for someone to stay, and He removes them to protect us from what we couldn't see. Sometimes we're asking for ease, and instead He gives us strength to grow through the hardship, because the strength is the gift. So no, it's not always how we expected, but it's always how we needed, because His knowledge is perfect, and His love for you is beyond what you can imagine. So hold on. Even if it's with the last thread of hope, even if your heart feels numb, even if you feel like you've been barely surviving, not living, just getting through the day. Hold on. Even if you can't speak long du'as anymore, even if all you can manage is one word, help, or one name, Allah, that is enough. Even if you're tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of hurting, hold on just a little longer. Because relief might be closer than you think. It might be one moment away, one turn of the heart, one quiet, unseen act of mercy, one divine command from the one who only needs to say be, and it is. A door might be about to open, a door you didn't even know existed. Not the one you were begging for, but something better, something softer, something that fits exactly what your soul needs, even if your mind doesn't yet understand it. The heartache you're carrying, the ache that feels endless, it might be turning into healing this very second, as you're listening, as you're breathing, as your heart is quietly breaking and rebuilding itself in the presence of your Lord. Because that's the mercy of Allah. He works in silence, in hidden ways, in miraculous timing. And just when you think you can't take one more step, He makes a way. He lifts you up. He reminds you, I never left you. Be patient. Not because the pain isn't real, not because you're expected to pretend everything is fine, but because you trust with your heart, with your soul, with your whole being, that the reward is greater than the struggle. You're not being asked to suppress your feelings. You're not being asked to be numb. No, patience doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel deeply, but you choose to respond with faith instead of despair. You cry, but you keep praying. You break, but you keep walking. You feel lost, but you keep whispering, Ya Allah, I know you're with me. Be patient. Not because you're ignoring your emotions, but because you're anchoring your soul to something deeper than this moment, something more lasting than this pain. You're anchoring yourself to Allah, and that's what true patience is. It's not passive, it's not weak, it's not quiet suffering with no direction. It's spiritual strength. It's standing tall inside, even when your world feels unsteady. It's holding your ground with grace. It's believing again and again that what Allah has written for you is worth every second of waiting. Patience doesn't mean you won't break down. It means you break down in the right place at the feet of the most merciful. It means your tears fall in sujood, not into hopelessness. And when you practice that kind of patience, the kind rooted in trust, not just endurance, you're not just surviving the test, you're rising through it, you're transforming, you're preparing yourself to receive what only patience can earn. Closeness to Allah, clarity of heart, and a reward beyond this world. Not your deadlines, not your calendar, not your idea of when things should have happened by now. Because the truth is, Allah doesn't operate on your schedule. He's not bound by dates on a planner, nor pressured by society's expectations, nor limited by what you see on someone else's timeline. You might think you're late. You might feel like others have already figured it out. While you're still waiting, still searching, still struggling, but Allah is never late. He is never behind. He is always on time. His time and His timing is built on perfect knowledge, perfect wisdom, perfect love. He knows when your heart is ready. He knows when your soul has matured enough to receive what you're asking for. And He knows when keeping a door closed is actually protecting you from walking into something too soon. Something that could harm you more than help you. You see, delay is not always denial. Sometimes it's mercy. Sometimes it's preparation. And sometimes it's simply because what's written for you is still being prepared in a way that's better than what you even prayed for. So if you're in the waiting, if you're watching the clock and feeling like time is slipping through your hands, pause, breathe, remind your heart, Allah is not slow, He is precise. He knows exactly when to open a door and exactly when to keep it closed. He sees what's around the corner. He sees what you're not ready for yet. And He's never ever forgotten you. And when you truly trust His timing, not just with your words, but deep within your heart, you'll begin to feel something incredible. Not because everything makes sense, but because you're no longer forcing things to happen your way. Because you've let go of the clock and you're holding on to the one who created time in the first place. And that trust, that surrender is what brings the heart its deepest rest. And remember this, write it on your heart, etch it into your mind, repeat it when the world feels heavy, when your strength is low, when your hope starts to fade. Say it when you wake up, say it when you feel overwhelmed, say it when you're about to break, say it when the silence around you becomes deafening, say it when you don't know what else to say. Allah will fix it for you. Not maybe, not if everything works out, not if you're lucky. He will fix it in His way, in His time, with His wisdom. And when He does, you'll realize it was worth every second of the wait. Because He promised to take care of those who rely on Him. He promised that no prayer goes unheard. He promised that whoever puts their trust in Him, He will be enough for them. And Allah never breaks His promises. Never. So hold on to that. Let it be your comfort. Let it be your hope. Let it be the whisper you repeat until your storm passes. Allah will fix it for me. Because He promised and He always keeps His word. Oh Allah, for every heart that is listening right now, for every soul that is tired, for every person who feels forgotten, overwhelmed, or broken, Ya Allah, bring them relief. Heal what hurts inside them. Replace their fear with peace. Replace their sadness with hope. Replace their hardship with ease. Ya Allah, open for them doors they didn't even know existed. Write for them what is best, even if they don't know what to ask for. Give them strength to carry what you have decreed, and patience to wait for what you have promised. If they are crying, turn those tears into light. If they are waiting, make that waiting a bridge to something better. And if they are doubting, fill their hearts with trust in you and only you. Ya Allah, we know you never abandon those who rely on you. So don't leave us to ourselves, not even for a moment. Be our protector, our healer, our guide. Fix what we cannot fix. Heal what we cannot speak of. And carry us to what is best in this life and the next. Ameen.